It's so easy to ignore the challenges that you have faced to be here, to be in this life, in this body, to be alive as a human being. But in the context of the practice of changing and transforming your life, changing your entire character, the quality of your life, to become, as they say, the best version of yourself, which the Dhamma provides, the Buddhist path provides, in chiseling out this incredibly brilliant aspect of you. That is very much dependent on all those things, all those seeds that you laid in the past, in your past lives, that got you here. We don't normally pause to appreciate the many merits that we have accrued, the many wonderful credits, if you will, that we've accumulated. Not just by our good deeds. For me, they're yeah, sure, they're good, but I mean, they will secure you a better place, a better body, better situations, better status in one of the, at least the human realm or above, fine. But they don't necessarily do more than that, as far as I'm concerned. If they don't get you to realize the value of looking at life with a different set of eyes, not to be mesmerized by life, not to be captivated, delighted by life to such an extent where you're pulled in and to repeat the pattern of the endless journey of being on the noose of craving, pulling you this way and that, until death comes. And you pretty much will go through the whole thing again. New challenges. But the fact that you're born at a time where the teachings of Lord Buddha are available, where you are listening to them, to the teachings, where you're practicing, even if you're picking up one of those memes or something like that online or social media, a saying of the Buddha, right? By the way, someone actually did go over some of the well-known memes that say, oh, the Buddha said this, the Buddha said that. And I think the outcome was that almost 70%, if not more, of those quotes have nothing to do with Lord Buddha, with Buddhism. People like to give, credit, and if you put the name of someone as holy as Lord Buddha, others will listen. But I'm saying, even if somebody were to listen or read something on a meme spoken by Lord Buddha, and they start to think about it during the week, even if it's just once, when they had lived a life where they never did that, that to me is a person who is slowly ricocheting himself out of ignorance, away from suffering, which is the ultimate goal. But we must pause now and again to appreciate the many blessings that we have. Even if your legs are broken, you're on a wheelchair, or you're in the hospital, or you're in a bad, situation. To see that, to identify that, and to look at yourself and being in a human body at this time period, despite whatever's going on in the world. There's so much corruption, there's so much inequity, there's so much a lack of concern, there's so much greed, there's so much neglect of one another, there's so much fake things, fake characters, fake people, fake news, fake so-called realities, fake threats in abundance, where we rarely have time for ourselves to just breathe and just to smile. I have to remind people of smiling. So the reason why I wanted to do this is because we need to pause. We need to show some acknowledgement of the fact that you had gone through hell to get here. Being in a mother's womb is not easy. Despite the fact that many say that the child or the infant or the fetus is not it's not aware. Some people disagree. There's always new data coming out, and that says something different than the established, narratives. You have made it through teenage years. You are now, I'm presuming, an adult. As listeners, so much is behind you. Perhaps you've gone through so many painful relationships, a difficult upbringing, but you're able to think about it, ponder the situation, scenarios, memories, etc. And this is where you need to look at the past in order for you to be inspired to walk into the future. So when you are acknowledging where you've come from, that gives you an extra dose of zest, energy. It inspires you to live this moment and, by the same token, the next moment, tomorrow. So you need to boost your morale, basically. But not just to make it through the day. Ultimately, that's nothing. But we have to put one foot in front of the other. Yes. But without neglecting all the bridges that we have to cross. And the fact that you are able to think. You are able to breathe. You're able to listen to this or to Dhamma talks and to see a better version of yourself hatching, coming out of, breaking through the eggshell, which requires more resilience from you, more intentional thinking. Because the moment you're showing appreciation from where you came from, basically, for the challenges you've faced, already that means you are out of the passenger seat of your life. You're taking charge of your life. Lord Buddha mentions Mano Pubbangama Dhamma Mano Setha Mano Maya. That's the very first lines of the Dhammapada. Yes, mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief, mind is leader, the thoughts. Everything is mind-made, every conditional thing that is. But the mind is able to see the Dhamma. That is something that many of us do not stop to look at, to consider. Without this mind, it's impossible for you to see the Dhamma. It's impossible for you to release yourself from the shackles of ignorance, of suffering. You have every tool at your disposal to liberate yourself. No one will do that. No one can do that. No one can save you. No one can liberate you. No one can free you from your own negative ways of thinking. Your addictive ways of toxifying yourself, your life, your relationships, most importantly, the relationship with yourself. That's why the most loving person in your life, the closest person in your life to you, no matter how benevolent they might be, how loving they might be, kind-hearted, honestly, driven, dedicated, etc., devoted to you, they will not be able to reduce any of that toxicity that you have in your attitude towards who you are, how you think about yourself. Not even a tiny little iota of that energy reservoir will be reduced because they want to help you. Ultimately, it's all in, as they say, the ball is in your court. Always. You are the one who will free yourself. Now, it's very challenging. It's if not impossible for some of us to do that, unless we look a little bit further in the past and then compare it to the present and acknowledge the fact that we are here. You are there in this life. You have this birth, and that says so much. Lord Buddha says, Diteva Dhamme. In this very birth, in this very life, here and now is where you will be able to bring a change, break the patterns. So Manopubbangama Dhamma is also referring to you showing appreciation to the Dhamma. You will never be able to show the appreciation for the Dhamma if you're toxic towards yourself. It's impossible. You need to be more respectful towards yourself. And when you are respectful towards yourself, meaning the rewards that you worked on to get you here. You're not here to debate with anyone. You're not here to prove anything to anyone, ultimately. You're here to live joyously. You're here to release yourself from all the shackles that you are bound by. Those shackles that bind come from you and your perceptions about you, your concepts about you, where you come from. So the mind has this negative bias. We know that from trauma research. So we each have a punching bag. That's called your heart. That's called you. We all keep hitting, kicking that punching bag, that sandbag. I'm saying, stop doing that. And instead, show appreciation. How do you show appreciation? That might be a question. Give yourself 5 minutes a day. I think you can afford that. 5 minutes a day where you can just do, perhaps daydream. Okay? Give yourself, put a timer. 5 minutes. Write a few words of appreciation for yourself. If you spend your time online or playing video games or watching some YouTube videos or this or that or social media, instead of that, cut yourself 5 minutes time slot and say, I'm going to do something that shows me that I can celebrate myself for who I am, not because of what I've done, what I'm doing, what I'm about to do. If you had next to you the younger version of yourself when you were 7 or 11 or 8 or 5, doesn't matter. You just captured a moment from your childhood all by yourself. Okay? That younger version of you is sitting right next to you. How would you treat him or her? Would you scold him or her? Or would you show them love? 5 minutes, could you do that? Maybe you might say a few words. Maybe you might have a heart-to-heart conversation. It doesn't matter, it might be very emotional. That's okay, 5 minutes, just do that. That's also showing yourself appreciation. But you need to look into the past, acknowledge the rewards that got you here. So I want to make this not just for meditators, the Dhamma practitioners, but for everyone. That's why I'm giving, in a sense, a tool that can be universally applied. But especially for those of you who are listening, and you here, to really acknowledge the benefits that you are enjoying now of being in a human body, having a brain that can listen, that can ponder, take in suggestions, instructions, ideas, and then work on them in an atmosphere of harmony that is taking place within you, for you. Yeah.